Hi guys, and welcome to the State of Crypto, your one-stop source for all crypto-related news. I'm your host Martin, and this is episode 47. 47 days in a row that we've been here, right? Anyways, today's stream: will Bitcoin price rally? XRP exposed to 81 million users, and Binance announces the fifth phase of Binance lending. Now, if you are catching this stream live, welcome, and if you are catching the replay and have any suggestions, please make sure you leave us a comment below. We really want to know what you are thinking. Now, if you want to keep up to date with the latest crypto-related news, make sure you subscribe. You hit that like button and that bell so you're notified when we go live. And if you're watching us for the second or third time and have not done it yet, you should really consider hitting subscribe. Now, if you want to keep on chatting with us once the stream is done, you can join us on the Discord. The link is in the description. We are active on Discord, and we usually post stuff as we see it happening. On to the news. Huobi has launched an exchange in Argentina. Huobi Argentina plans to establish a local team and a fiat gateway to trade or convert the Argentina peso to cryptocurrency. While users can currently purchase cryptocurrencies with the Argentina peso through Huobi's over-the-counter services, Huobi Argentina will soon introduce a fiat gateway estimated to launch around mid-October this year. Now, let's see how this fares for the Argentinians. As you remember in an earlier article that we covered on an earlier stream, the government was cracking down on the purchase of foreign currencies. So, if the government notices that people are turning to crypto to evade their crackdown, they might start also targeting crypto exchanges. So just keep it in mind, right? Anyways, I'll try to post a link to the article up here in the corner. As to any other article that we mentioned that we covered in any previous stream, we'll post that episode, right? Anyways, that's the only news I have for the main market. I'm gonna go turn into I'm gonna go look at the sorry guys, one second. Something popped up on my screen real quick. Yeah, like I said, I'm gonna go look at the market, and then from there we'll look at the articles for the remaining articles that we have, right? Anyways, what is going on with the market today? Today, market cap. What happened, right? We had a lot of money flowing into the market yesterday. Some of it end up going out before the end of the day, but some we're starting to pick it up again today, right? September 18th. Remember, the market closes. The market closes at 7 p.m. Central. So the new day just started 2 hours ago, right? Anyways, on market cap, what are we doing? We closed yesterday at $260.0 billion. Gaining 0.75% on the prior day. Right now, we are getting 1.13% on the prior day, sitting at $262.9 billion, right? There's money flowing in. Where's that money flowing into? Well, a lot of money flew into the alts, and then some today is starting to go into Bitcoin. What is happening, right? We'll look at it in a second. Anyways, what happened with Bitcoin dominance? Yesterday, lost a lot of dominance, right? Alts picked up a lot of momentum yesterday, or still today for those that are living in this time frame, right? But like I said, the market closed 2 hours ago, and the price for today right now, it's going down 0.59%. Yesterday went down 1.45% on dominance Bitcoin, from an opening of 71.38, closing at 70.35, and right now it's sitting at 69.93. A lot of people are wondering whether or not this is gonna usher the new altcoin movement. We doubt it. It might not. It's not clear yet. We'll need to wait for a little bit more to develop on dominance for us to determine whether or not we are in the alt season, right? I mean, alts can go up and still lose dominance, remember? Anyways, on to the Bitcoin news. Bitcoin volatility drops to the lowest level since May. That's what this article is stating. It's from Forbes. Why is it important, right? Well, the article says that the Bitcoin's 30-day volatility hit a reading of 47 today, and the least since May the 10th, according to Blockforce Capital. Now, 60-day volatility also declined 54%, the lowest since May the 10th, right? And we can see here that volatility has been dropping on both the 30 and the 60-day volatility, right? So where were we on the 10th of May, and what happened? Well, we're gonna do something that we usually don't do. We're gonna look at the Bitcoin chart right now, and then we're gonna jump back. We were here, right? When volatility started to pick up, it was this nice day right here. This smaller one next to this large green bar, right? So stuff that could happen, right? Well, tomorrow the Fed is announcing whether or not they'll be either maintaining rates or cutting them. And if they cut the rates, a lot of speculation is going around that the market might pump to the upside. You know, that's another article that we're going to cover today, so I'm not gonna jump into it yet. However, there's potential for movement to the upside. Right now, we are facing a resistance, right, that we previously used as support, and right now we're facing it as resistance, which is the 10,230s mark, right? We're actually sitting at 10,239. A little bit above, but you know, still at that resistance level. Anyways, on another article, there was a bug on Kraken that let Bitcoin users buy at lower levels in market, right, and sell at higher levels in market. So people, the glitch, you know, some clients bought the tester at 8,000 and others sold at 12,000 without clearing the intervening liquidity, right? It was a mistake. It was fixed, right? It was on a test, so no liquidity was exhausted, right? Because both operations canceled out. So if we were sitting at 10,000, one is 8,000, one's 12,000, you know, they neutralize, go back to 8. Anyways, this was for a test they're doing, nothing else to worry about. I just wanted to cover it real quick. It's not a real important article. You know, anyways. Now to the news that we were talking about, right? Before I jump onto that other Bitcoin news, I want to show you this one. It says, a crack just emerged on the financial markets. The New York Fed spent $53 billion to rescue the overnight lending market. Now, this was a bailout, right? Sort of like putting money into something to get it out of the problems that it's in, monetary problems. Right? It has not been done. First rescue operation since late 2008, right? When, you know, the last recession started. So basically, we might be seeing this because of, like, you know, like this says here, this episode is evidence of an emerging strain on the financial markets and raises concern that the Federal Reserve could be losing its grip on the short-term rates. Like I said, rates, right? Anyways, these links a little bit to the next article that we have, which in this article, there's a couple people that give their opinions, right? Everyone's like pro Bitcoin, so obviously their outlook is bullish. Nigel Green, the founder and CEO of the Beer Group, believes the cryptocurrency will pick up a strong beat in response to the Federal Reserve's rate cut, right? As a reduction in borrowing costs will lower the yield return on the US dollar. Now, Anthony Pompliano, founder of Morgan Creek Digital Assets, tweeted in August that Bitcoin would fly high if the Fed rates cuts are followed by a government buying program, right? Quantitative easing. Now, Max Kaiser also believes that the Fed's continued monetary easing will send Bitcoin to $100,000. Now, the rate cuts are inflationary in nature, meaning they reduce the purchasing power of fiat currencies. Hence, there is a general consensus in the crypto market that Federal Reserve monetary easing will bode well for Bitcoin, which is deflationary in nature and is set to undergo a mining halving in less than a year, right? So the probability of Bitcoin responding positively to tomorrow's rate cut is debatable because when the Fed raised rates in 2015 and 2017, the price of Bitcoin went up, right? So it does not necessarily mean that the price of Bitcoin has to go down because the Fed is lowering rates. However, there's a lot of speculation around this. That's why we might be seeing stagnation on the market. If we look on the daily, we'll look at the chart again. If you look on the daily, man, this just looks like a lot of sideways, right? A lot of waiting, a lot of indecision going on, right? We knew we were about to break. There's big stuff happening. Tomorrow, the Fed, right? This is the green candle starting. And the 23rd, we have the launch of BACT. So, you know, there's big events happening this week that could potentially give a price rise to Bitcoin. All started to go up today, except for Bitcoin. You know, Bitcoin kind of remained, actually lost yesterday, right? Broke us slightly back into its channel, broke out again. I think we used it as a resistance for a while. Anyways, what is going on? More contraction on the Bollinger Bands, right? We're starting to see this coming in closer, right? Positive momentum still stagnating. However, we have not started to make negative momentum. And we are sitting neutral on the RSI. Again, we could go either way. right? We are still within this major triangle, right? The green line and the yellow line. We have been calling it out every stream. But if you guys are new and tuning in for the first time, you have to know this, right? We broke out this other one. I'm going to get rid of it. I'm going to get rid of this bullish divergence that we had mapped. It was a previous divergence that we shown. Right here, we're not developing divergence, so it is fine. We just had this one to go on for price action to the upside. We did see it. We're kind of having in this. Have been in this zone of indecision for a while. Let's wait and see where this takes us. Right, if we start seeing price action to the upside, we break out of this channel. We might start to look for a long position, right? Prices might go up. However, you have to wait for confirmation that we are really out of this triangle. We could always go out, then do kind of like a fake out and pull back, and then actually drop. So be careful. Same thing if it goes to the downside, and you put your stop losses really close to whatever the edge of the breakout is, or whatever your stop losses are, you might get stopped out, because the same thing could happen, right? We could go down, dip, kind of like do like a fake out, and then like rally to the upside, right? Anyways, comments have been made on this. Let's go into 4 hours, see what's going on the 4 hours, right? The more macro scale. We expanded on the Bollinger Bands due to these like violent movements. We are kind of like moving sideways again. Like I said, a lot of sideways motion, right? Indecision, push down, then a pull back up, right? Negative momentum starting to decrease, right? We are about to get a cross of the MACD over the signal line. Again, usually when we get those, we do see movements either upside or downside. Usually to the upside when we cross over, right? Like here, we cross and then large movements to the upside. Last time we crossed, it was this fake one. It kind of dropped, you know, some things that we have to watch out, right? Here we had movement to the upside again, not necessarily on a cross. What are we sitting on the RSI? 49.49, neutral. 50 being neutral, we're very close to 50. Sitting below that 20 MA, volatility is starting to contract a little bit on the Bollinger Bands. Like I said, sitting above that channel that we broke out of, using it as support. Facing some resistance around the 10,200 level that we had mapped earlier. Are we doing something? Yeah, well, we had this sort of bearish divergence develop, right? Slant bearish divergence, which already played out. I'm going to get rid of it. We had this sort of wedge or triangle that we were developing. We kind of broke out of it. Again, I'm going to get rid of this stuff again just to clear this chart a little bit more. And we're going to go into the 1 hour, right? What is going on the 1 hour? Well, we developed this hidden bearish divergence, right? That we seen played out a little bit. Now we're kind of recovering. Doing one of those like movements to the upside slight. No bullish divergence developing yet. Higher low. Still positive momentum. Still developing positive momentum on the 1 hour. Things that worry me is that we could go higher, make the same high and make less positive momentum, and again we would be creating bearish divergence, right? Which would mean price action to the downside. Right now we're not making it. Sitting at 52 on the RSI. Might be good to dip a little bit more before we actually make another run. Anyways, we are sitting above that 10,200, and we're sitting at 10,243, right? So very close to that 10,234 area that we mapped as resistance. We have not been able to make any violent movements outside of it. Bitcoin is waiting on stuff to happen with the Fed announcement. So tomorrow we might get some pre-market, or I mean this market never closes, but we might get some pre-news pumps or dumps, you know, on speculation. But once the news comes out, if we start to pump before, we might get some. We might be selling the news, you know. So just keep it in mind as you trade tomorrow. On Ethereum, what is happening with Ethereum? Well, we only found this article on Ethereum, and it's regarding the gas usage, right? It's basically stating that gas usage on Ethereum hit an all-time high, and, well, it's asking how it's being used. Well, Tether has been on the rise with a recent peak of 20% of all network fees used to transfer USD Tether. While less gas is used to move Ethereum, the bulk is consumed by non-standard contracts that require heavier computations. We already talked about this problem with Ethereum a while back and in a lot of streams, so we're not going to go into detail. It's the only article we found, so we just wanted to say something on Ethereum. Price of Ethereum going up, right? What's happening on the daily? Ethereum on the daily. So a nice price action to the upside. on dominance, right? We have been raising on dominance. We're sitting at 8.71%. That's pretty good. We almost made over 1% in the past 4 days or so, right? So 1, 2, 3 days, almost 4. So at least in the last 4 days, we have been pumping to the upside. That's pretty good for us. It means Ethereum is less manipulated, or it's less vulnerable to Bitcoin movements, right? A little bit less. Still, Bitcoin being a big fish will determine the rhythm of the market. Now, if you were to look at this and analyze it, we would be sitting at overbought. That's fine. We'll analyze this. Anyways, let's go on to the chart. What is going on? Almost at overbought, right? We're sitting at on the RSI at 69.95, almost in that overbought on the daily. We have not been overbought on the daily since the 22nd of June. So a while back, we've seen a lot of low prices. Like I said, we were primed for price action to the upside. We were not getting it. We had that bullish divergence. It took a while for it to play out. Finally playing out. We have it here, going lower and lower, but failing to do it. Anyways, we have not broken out of the channel. We did hit it as resistance and bounce back off it. That's not pretty good. Anyways, we are pumping again. Let's hope that we can get a major pump that will break us out. I think we're developing bearish divergence on the smaller scales. We'll look at that in the smaller scales. We are definitely hitting those overbought territories, right? Anyways, still making positive momentum. Volatility open, expanded on the Bollinger Band, sitting above that 20 MA, broken out of this upsloping channel we had traced. All this is fine, right? What is going on the more micro scale, right? Things that were worrying me. Not so much right now because we made a higher high, but from here to here, when I was looking at this in the morning, we were developing bearish divergence. It did not play out. Higher high, lesser negative momentum. It did not play out. I'm glad. Something I posted on the Discord for when people were watching. I want to make sure that we're aware that we could develop that potential divergence if the price would have gone down here. We definitely would have developed it, and we could have seen price action to a downside. We are still pumping. Anyways, sitting overbought, like I stated, right? 79. We hit a high overbought at 80. What was this? 82.63, right? What was this for us, right? Let's look at this. It's not letting me. There we go. We had not seen those levels in a while, man. Last time we were there, not even here, we were there, back here, May 15, right? Which is also congruent with what is happening. We said we started to see, we had not seen low volatility on Bitcoin since the 10th. It's not surprised that a lot of stuff is being referenced back to that date. The Mays, when we saw low volatility on Bitcoin started to pick up. However, it's picking up for the alts right now. Let's wait for Bitcoin tomorrow to develop as speculation starts to grow with the Fed rates and then backed, right, coming later. Anyways, price of Ethereum right now sitting at 212.37. And on the 4 hours, like I said, above that 20 MA volatility open. That's fine. Rejected by that resistance, right? That channel resistance that we had traced beautifully. We had not touched it. We have not moved it. We just kissed it, and we're pushed back. Let's go on a more micro scale. I'm going to get rid of this. And then we can go on a more micro scale. Let's go on the 1 hour. Hi, guys. Thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning in. If you like what we do, like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell. Again, we had this sort of developing divergence. We pointed it out. We wanted to make sure people were aware that it could develop. Anyways, we still ended up pumping higher, making positive momentum, more positive momentum than we are negating this because we're actually going with the market. Like I stated, I just wanted to make sure people knew potentially could play out, right? We're gonna get rid of this because we had here bullish divergence. I think that we traced on the line, on the MACD line. So I'm gonna get rid of this. This was kind of like a channel that we broke out of. This was bearish divergence that we had. Played out a little bit to price action to the downside again, cooling off a little bit before we actually pumped up again. That was fine. This was also bearish divergence that we were pointing out in the morning. Didn't play out. That's fine. It could have played out if we had not made this higher one, right? We could have then seen price action to the downside. We just point out stuff as we see so people are aware and can take precautions, right? Anyways, I'm gonna get rid of this as well. What's going on? Well, we are seeing some difficulties breaking above this 212 area since the last couple candles, right? At least past 5 to 6 hours. We have been battling for this zone. We got a small pushback, but again, we make it up. That means there's indecision in this area, right? Still sitting above that 20 MA. MACD line about to cross the signal line. If we cross it, then we'll make negative momentum. Positive momentum still decreasing, so that's all right. I mean, we had a nice pump. We need to retrace a little bit. And something else that I'm seeing is that we are sitting at 68 on the RSI. Still high on the bot scale, but not overbought. We were overbought earlier. That is fine. No problem there. Are we developing something that worries me? Well, no, because we're going with the market, right? I'm not going to trace a pattern here. Because if I go on this point, and then here will be like a broadening triangle, sort of. Inverse broadening triangle. So I'm not going to trace that. Anyways, I would expect for us to see what happens here with this. Get some sort of resolution on this price that we're fighting. We could come down, touch this upper part of the channel we broke out of, use it as support before we actually bounce back off it, and that will be completely fine. What else is happening with this? We've seen some nice movements today, right? Let's do a retrace and see where we're sitting at, right? What are we gonna take as low? Well, we could take this as low for sure, or we could take this as low, right? Because we actually went down here and we undid everything. So it just depends on what you want to see on the market or where you want to trace it, right? For someone else, probably someone else will take something different. Anyways, we came down, touched that 236, kind of like went into that will begin the retrace zone, bounce off it. That's fine. I would have expected us to at least come back and touch that 382. We have not done it. We could be congruent with us coming and touching this upper part of the channel as support, right? Come down, touch it, and then maybe make some sort of, we probably wouldn't still make any kind of bearish divergence. Maybe some hidden bearish divergence could develop, not sure yet, but we would have to wait for this to either drop, or we could still go up higher again, touch this channel and try to break out of it, right? That everything is possible right now. We are moving sideways, like I said, right now for the past 5 hours. A lot of speculation going on, especially with tomorrow with the Fed announcing rates. It's not going to affect only Bitcoin. It's going to affect the whole market, right? Anyways, what else is going on? Hi, guys. We're live, so if you have any questions, you can toss them on the chat, and we'll try to get to them as quickly as we can. There is some delay, I think about 30 seconds from when I speak here and whenever it comes out to you, and then there's also some delay on the chat coming back, so we do address the questions that you guys send us, right? Anyways, that will be for Ethereum, right? I'm going to get rid of the fibs. We could adjust them, right? I mean, for everyone, it would be different. We could come down here, and then we just barely touch that 236, kissed it, and then rejected it. That's fine. We touch that retrace zone. We don't necessarily have to go into it, right? Again, we're just moving sideways right now. I'm going to get rid of this fibs. We already talked about Ethereum. We're going to move on to Ripple. Ripple. It got exposed to a lot of people today, right? We talked about this earlier in another episode. We talked about Line, and that they were coming out with the BitMax platform, and they got the green light in Japan to go out. Now, Line Corporation announced the launch of the platform today, and it's directly linked to the Line app through the Line wallet button, and it's available to 81 million Japanese people that use Line on a monthly basis. That is big for this market. Now, what is happening with Ripple, right? Well, Ripple is among the few cryptos that BitMax has launched its support for. So this article, even though it's misleading by the name, it's probably it affects other coins, right? Bitcoin is also listed there, Ethereum's listed there, Bitcoin Cash is listed there, and Litecoin is also listed there. So maybe that's why we're seeing the alts pump, right? Because this platform launch, maybe a lot of Japanese people are jumping in, buying some of the alts, making it pump. Not so much Bitcoin, but the alts at least had some nice movement. Like we've stated earlier, Japan has also been on its way to turning into a cashless society, similarly to what China has been doing, right? With people actively not using only bank cards, but also electronic payment forms by purchasing with QR codes, right? Now, Line Corporation has been a large part of implementing crypto in Japan. They pushed it forward. Now, it has created its own blockchain link chain, and last year they launched it on the crypto exchange Bitbox, right? That works with users from around the world except the US and Japan itself. That's their other exchange that they're handling. I think it's based out of Singapore. Anyways, let's go on to Ripple and see what is happening with Ripple, because Ripple also pumped nicely today, right? Ripple also gaining some nice dominance on the day. Yesterday had a nice gain on the market, 8.58% right now, gaining 6.21%, sitting at 5.02% of market cap. That is good. We were sitting at 4.20 something yesterday, and that's not very good, right? 4.36, I think. Yeah. It's nice to see these movements to the upside. We alts had been low for a while, right? Slowly resetting the oscillators. Ripple, man, on the daily went on to overbought territory, so be careful. We might get some pullbacks. We could still run a little bit more, but we're in that danger zone with price action would usually turn to the downside a little bit. We should see some retracement. I put some fibs here earlier to see some stuff. I'm gonna get rid of them just so we could look at this a little bit closely. Move that resistance. Anyways, we broke out of the channel, went back in. That was during the yesterday, and right now we're pumping again. These 2 hours, man, have been very violent for Ripple, right? Still pushing to the upside, and that is fine, man. I'm happy that Ripple is finally pumping, sitting above those 30 cents. We actually went up all the way to 31.2 cents. So that's pretty good, right? 31 cents, 31 and almost 31.2 cents is pretty good. We have not seen those prices in a while, at least since August 13th. Ever since we're hugging this support on the 25-cent line. Finally broke out. That's good. I'm glad we're out of it. Now, what's happening? We're obviously expanded the Bollinger Bands, right? We're sitting up at 20 MA. MACD line still separating, diverging from the signal line. That's fine. Still making positive momentum. That is also good. But like I said, we're sitting at overbought, and that starts to worry me because when you go into overbought territory, you're on that high overbought on the RSI. You have to come back in, right? We can still run, like I said, right? Here we actually hit levels of 81, and that would be fine as well. But be careful with pullbacks, right? This large movement to the upside. Usually they are accompanied by some sort of pullback or consolidation. We have not seen a lot of consolidation on the daily, so we should see something like that happening, right, or developing before we actually make another impulse up. That's what the healthy market would do. Let's go into the 4 hours and see what's happening. On the 4 hours, definitely above that 20 MA. Again, outside of the Bollinger Band range. Still diverging wildly on the MACD and the signal line. Still making positive momentum, strong positive momentum this candle, right? Here we saw some indecision, right? We had this impulse up, started to impulse up, then reversed it, and then actually, like, basically got room to run it again. But when we came back, we didn't reset the oscillator into the safe zone, right? We did not go into more standard zones for the RSI. We kind of like just went back a little bit, dipped, and then punched back with a lot of strength. Anyways, things that worry me quickly, right? Potentially, not yet made, but from here to here, we're making a higher high. We are making less strength. We have less strength on the RSI. We have more strength on the MACD histogram. That is fine, and we also have more strength on the MACD line itself. But on the RSI, we are not that strong, making some sort of bearish divergence, right? Strong bearish divergence, class A, type 1, whatever you want to call it, guys. Be careful. It might play out to price action to the downside. We have been pushing strong to the upside. We have not seen a strong retrace or any kind of retrace, right? That is not a high, so I could not consider it a high for certain, but we could certainly try and fib it. And I mean, we could even go from down here, from low to high. We have not retraced, right? If we take this one into account, then we did retrace a little bit. We did go into that 236, then bounce off it. That would be fine. That would be a retracement, but I wouldn't consider this a low yet or anything else. So I'm not even sure if this is the high. You know, we can still make higher highs. Let's go into the 1 hour and see what's going on. On the 1 hour, sitting above that 20 MA. Now we're starting to see some movement to the downside, right? What is happening? Here we are making that bearish divergence, still not fully made because we're still making positive momentum slightly, but we can see that we're making higher highs and we're making lower bars on the MACD histogram. We're not so much on the MACD line itself, still separated from the signal line. That is fine. We are also making that divergence, bearish divergence, strong bearish divergence on the RSI histogram, not the MACD line, but you know, potential price action to the downside, guys. We have not seen a retrace, like I said. We should wait for a retrace to happen, right? So if we were to call that the high, where could we expect to be the retrace? Well, it depends on where we take the low. I'm gonna take the low here and here the high. You know, there's a lot of chop around this area. Had that nice impulse. We're like flagging along. This is the 1 hour scale, so we could even take it here if you wanted. But if we were to take it here, retrace zone would be here, the 236. That would be the beginning of the retrace zone. We could certainly go and hit that 382, and that's all the way to the 50% and the 618. You know, could retrace half of the way. That would be Dow's theory, Charles Dow. And the others are feed nodes, right? Anyways, we could retrace down to here. We certainly have supports, right? We touched that 30 cent that used to be resistance. We used it as support, bounce off it, being psychological, and then we actually had some resistance around there farther back. It's been a zone of support and resistance prior, so I'm glad that we touched it and bounced off it. However, I'm not sure what's going to happen once we actually start to break down and come down again. Are we going to have enough strength to hold it around here? Here in the 1 hour, right? You could sort of say it, if you wanted to, that we made a bull flag of sorts, right? Then push back up. That's fine. Hey, what's up, David? How's it going, man? Yeah, XRP is pumping, man. XRP is pumping. However, watch out. We might see a pullback, right? We're starting to see that price action to the downside that I was talking about. Don't be worried, though. We are high on the RSI. We have not reset. We are developing bearish divergence. However, we could sort of make another flag like this one, and then if we make that flag, we could see something else happening. Hey, Sarah Lisa, how is it going, man? Hey, thanks for tuning in from work. I really appreciate it. If they allow you, you should put like one of those little ear thingies and just listen. There's a lot of interesting stuff happening in the market today. But thank you for tuning in and watching. I hope you don't get into trouble from watching from work. Anyways, keep that divergence in mind. Could happen, could develop. Like I said, we use this as support. We could come back, touch it as support, and we have that retrace right below it, that 236 zone. So we could come down, touch it, and then bounce off it again. Be aware of this. We could still pump again. We could make a flag and then pump. However, we are already high on the RSI. We have not reset it. Here at least we went back into it before we pumped again. That would be good. If we were to come down here again before we actually pump, that would be good. If we pumped from up here, we might not get a lot of momentum to go up and do something, right? This is still developing, right? We have not made a stagnation bar, like a clear green bar, or we have not actually gone down to zero to call it a different island. But this would certainly be bearish divergence developing on the 1 hour. Be very careful, right? Again, a lot of expectation going on. Tomorrow we could have those Fed news come out and Bitcoin start pumping and a lot of money start flow into Bitcoin and leave the alts, or a lot of money start flowing into Bitcoin and the alts, or everyone pumping together, right? So just watch out for tomorrow's news and then see what the market does. We do have news for Litecoin, so we're going to go into those real quick. Yeah, on Litecoin, what happened? So Charlie Lee announced yesterday that Litecoin project intended to add Mimblewimble. It sounds like mumbo jumbo, but it's called Mimblewimble support to its network, and would associate with David Burkett, who is a major Green++ developer for this purpose. Now, earlier last month, Lee has stated that Litecoin developers were interested in the development of Mimblewimble, and they're working on developing it further. Right now, one of the primary reasons why Burkett was added to the team was for the speedy development of the project. Now, Burkett stated that I'm just a crypto anarchist who happens to spend his spare time developing or alternate node and wallet for green, right? My ultimate goal is financial privacy for everyone, and I would love nothing more than to see Mimblewimble on Bitcoin itself. Getting Mimblewimble added to Litecoin seems like the next obvious step. Now, Mimblewimble is a protocol change that allows confidential transactions and non-interactive I got tongue-tied. Too much Mimblewimble. Anyways, it allows confidential transactions and non-interactive coin joins, and thus provides a number of added benefits, right? Confidential transactions primarily imply that the transaction values of customers who would use Mimblewimble on Litecoin would be concealed and would be difficult to track by third parties, as they would be mixed among other participants in the network. Now, Lee has also asserted that Mimblewimble would not replace the original or base protocol, but possibly would be added as an extension blockchain or as a sidechain, right? What is happening with Litecoin, because it also pumped today, man. Let's go into the daily, right? A green day, not as nice as the rest, but still making positive, gaining some dominance. 1.06% up right now, going 0.09% up, sitting at 1.82 of market cap. Now, price of Litecoin is sitting at $75.51. We broke out of that channel, man. That's fine. Finally, we broke out of over that half part of the channel. That's also fine, right? That more major downtrend. We are still, even though we have pushed that upper limit of the Bollinger Band a little bit, we are still getting contraction on the Bollinger Bands, and that is also fine. We're still making positive momentum, diverging of the MACD over the signal line, and sitting a little bit higher on the RSI at 58. We did not get that violent of a pump like the other alts did, but at least it's nice to see that this coin is also going up. What could be happening, right? We were worried about divergence developing, right? Bearish. It did not play out, and that's fine. We were just saying potential because we had not, we were not going down on the histogram, but we wanted to make people aware that it could play out, right? I'm gonna get rid of all these other indicators that I have. Sorry about that. Anyways, what is happening? So an impulse up, consolidation, impulse up out of this channel. We have not used it as support yet, but that is fine. Same thing that we're seeing, right? Indecision. Pushing down the price, then going back up again. That is fine. Making positive momentum, a new positive bar after a neutral bar. We could start to get exhausted, right? Because we are seeing more or less the same level of momentum on the bars, and we are making a higher high on price. It would be a type of bearish divergence. Not so much. We would also be developing strong bearish divergence on the RSI, right? From here to here, from here to here. I'm gonna ignore that wick, and from here to here will be more or less neutral, right? I think we just pumped up a little bit, and it might be negating this because right now, a couple minutes ago, they were almost the same height, right? Anyways, if we keep going up on price, this might get negated. Again, it's just potential. It's not yet confirmed. We would need to close this candle here and then actually see that price action to the downside. I'm going to get rid of this real quick and go into the 1 hour. On the 1 hour, what is happening? On the 1 hour, we did see some price action to the downside. Did we develop divergence? Well, no, this was the one that I was calling earlier. Did we develop divergence? No, we're going higher, slightly higher on the momentum, right? 0.28, 0.25. Yes, slightly higher. We're going with the market. That is fine. We did not develop divergence there. We're probably seeing some retracement, right? That is fine. We should retrace. How am I? Okay, yeah, that's a message I saw a couple of minutes ago. Sorry, I got distracted. I thought it was a new message. Anyways, here we go. Did we retrace? Yes, we hit that 382. This is a very crude fib. I just wanted to see how deep we retrace real quick. I mean, if I wanted to adjust it a little bit more, we'll probably get different contact points, right? And then we probably would consider this as the low. We hit that 382 spot on. If I consider this wick as the low and this wick as the high, you know, that is fine. That is a good retrace that we got. We are pumping. We are rejecting it and pumping back up. That is fine. We're also rejecting that 20 MA and pumping over it. That is good stuff happening. Now we are developing some negative momentum, starting to stagnate. That is pretty good. You know, again, we could see potential price action to the upside. We went overbought on the RSI. We managed to neutralize it, go back down into a more neutral level. Right now, sitting at 61, sitting on that high bought, but not overbought for sure. And again, we have a lot of, we have certainly some gas that we could use to pump us to the upside. We got that cross of the MACD, of the Bollinger, of the MACD over the signal line. Seems like we're neutralizing it and going to go back over it again. Trying to figure out what else we're developing here that we could call. We're going higher, you know, that's fine. We're going with the market. That is fine. Right now, I'm not going to trace anything here as well, because if you wanted to trace this, we will be making a sort of, not even a downsloping flag, but you know, this is very awkward because the contact points are very weird. We like a very, very steep burning wedge or channel. It's very few candles to actually chart on a pattern. So this would be like a sideways consolidation. You know, we had this. We pointed out we could set potential price action to the upside from that flag. We did not extend it back then, but we could have extended it to here. You know, it would have been a flag. Then we saw that price action to the upside again. Anyways, that would be it right now for Litecoin. Let's go to Binance. Binance, what is happening? Well, a lot of stuff happening on Binance actually. Binance made a strategic investment in the Chinese media and data source Mars Finance. Now, according to a report from Bloomberg that cited a press release, The investment amount was not disclosed, but values the company at $200 million. Now, Changpeng Zhao stated that we have a large respect for data, news, and research firms which support the positive growth of the blockchain industry. We will continue to pursue strategic investment opportunities in our mission to bring crypto further mainstream, increasing adoption and accessibility, and help the industry grow sustainably. Right now, the media site was founded by a tech entrepreneur Wang Feng in 2018. Bloomberg says that and has previously raised 2 funding rounds by investors, including IDG Capital and the venture subsidiaries of OKCoin and Huobi. Right, this is the first article we have for Binance. Second article we have is this one. Right, initial exchange offerings launched on Binance Launchpad and created major headlines at the beginning of the year. Most of them brought massive returns to investors, right? That's pretty good. Now, investors have been left with a sour taste in their mouths as the last few initial exchange offerings haven't had anywhere near the same returns. Now, the Perlin project, despite the augmented holding period and the reduced number of winning tickets, the IEO generated returns of 5 to 7 times investment, right? That's pretty good. However, when you factor in the decrease of Binance coin price during the holding period, the actual returns aren't that substantial. Anyways, initial exchange offerings were created in order to attract interest in legitimate projects. Investors were meant to spend their money on well-researched projects backed by reputable exchanges. Now, the fact that an exchange as reliable as Binance puts its name behind a project, it is a serious endorsement. And so it has worked out pretty well for the projects involved, right? That's why the IEOs seem to be a little bit more popular than ICOs and a certain workaround around that ICO, right? Also, earlier today, Changpeng Zhao announced the launch of the 5th phase of lending products, which is going to be dedicated to privacy coins. Yesterday, we announced the 4th one. A couple of days ago, he announced the 3rd. You know, they have been moving really quick with this lending platform. Now, the subscription period will start at 6 a.m. UTC on September the 20th, and it will end at midnight on the 21st of September. The available currencies had the same annualized interest rate of 3.5, and the term to maturity will be 14 days. The ones they're going to use are going to be Monero, Zcash, and Dash, right? And they have a little table here that shows, term to maturity 14 days, substantial total subscription cap, 30,000 Monero, 60,000 Zcash, 30,000 Dash. Individual cap, how much money can an individual put here? 300 Monero, 600 Zcash, 300 Dash, all at a 3.5% annual rate. Lot size, minimum 1 XMR, 1 Zcash, 1 Dash. Interest paid at maturity, right? You're going to get very little because it's a very short period, 14 days. Anyways, that is it for the news part. I'm going to cover Binance and then I'll be open to questions, right? Because we had a lot of nice movements today. Binance pumped nice yesterday, right? To the upside, 3.07% right now, still going up 1.58%. Binance on the daily yesterday, man, gain nice, right? We kind of broke out of this channel that we traced, right? Faced some resistance at that 20 MA, right? As you can see, we were rejected, and then today we pump up strong, broke over that channel, and then we are above that 20 MA. Again, everyone's behaving the same way. Very bullish conditions today. That's good. We were stagnant for a while. We were talking about contraction on the Bollinger Bands. We were talking about movements happening. I'm glad we got them today. Again, tomorrow could come with more moves. Just be careful. Anyways, momentum increasing, right? RSI sitting at 42, still a little bit more in the neutral, but low, right? What is going on the more micro scale, on the 4 hours? Man, see, we broke out of this, then we rejected. You know, it was like a fake breakout. We came back into the channel, and today, in this 4-hour candle, we just broke out of it again. Still making positive momentum, which is good. Not making bearish divergence here, which is good. High on the RSI, but not overbought. High on the bot scale for sure at 65.34. Still making positive momentum, like I said, above the that 20 MA and expansion of the Bollinger Bands, right? Again, let's go on to more micro scale, the 1 hour. We might be able to see something different here. Oh yes, we do. Right off the bat. From here to whichever point you want to trace here, I'm gonna take this high on the MACD, right? So from here to here, we would be developing strong bearish divergence. So watch out for a movement to the downside. Same here on the RSI. Right now, this candle still has 13 minutes to go. Has not closed, but you know, be aware that we are developing it right now. We are seeing some sort of rejection, price action to the downside. We're starting to come down from that top. 12 minutes is still a long way to go for a 1 hour candle. Quarter of the candle still left to burn, right? So be aware of that. Could potentially mean price action to the downside. Here we had developed it as well. From here to here, it will be slant divergence, right? From this bar, green bar, to this green bar here. It's very hard to see, but it would be consistent from this bar to this bar. That's what we saw, that price action to the downside, bearish divergence developed, and it also developed here on the MACD, right? So it would have been from here to here. Now, just keep this in mind. From here to here would also be developing that bearish divergence. So from here to here, and from here to here, right? Here we were at overbought 70.77. Here we are sitting at 69. So we are lower on the RSI. Again, stuff could go downhill. We've seen a nice impulse up. We need to see some retracement, or we need to see some pattern consolidation. Impulse up, consolidation, or pattern development, right? So if we go to that higher, we consider this the high. We have not made a low yet, but places where we could go, that 236 would put us around $21.26. Price of Binance right now, $21.60, right? I did not say it. Anyways, we could go to a 382, putting us at $20.96. We could certainly go to that 618, which would put us at, that one's hard to see on the green. It's like 20.53. Even though we did make a good move, we are still covered. We can even go hit that 786 and still be at $20. I would hope we don't touch that. We don't do 100% retracement, because then we would definitely hit $19 again. Anyways, guys, that will be it for today. I was trying to go a little bit quick because it's raining outside, and last time it was raining, I had power issues and light was going out, and I had stream reset a couple times. So anyways, you missed Ethereum. What are my thoughts? Okay, Ethereum. Yeah, I'll go back into it. Look, this is Ethereum, right? Let's go on the daily. So Ethereum, we are still within this downsloping channel right now. We went up, touched it, rejected it. We went up, touched it again right now, rejected it, which means it might be some strong resistance around with that channel, right? We are seeing about 20 MA. We broke out of this upsloping channel, which is good. Still making positive momentum, high on the RSI, but not at overbought, which is good. That means we can still run up a little bit until overbought territory before we actually break down. However, we are making bearish divergence on the more micro scales. I think, I can't remember. We were making divergence on the RSI here. If we ignore that wick, it would be the same as Litecoin, right? Lower RSI, higher price. So just keep that one in mind. Momentum still developing, right? Positive momentum still developing. That is fine. Like I said, this one has not quite touched it, but it's quite close. This one did touch that resistance, bounce back. Let's go into the 1 hour, because this one you won't be able to see it as well. So on the 1 hour, right? Where is it? Now on the 1 hour, we are not developing bearish divergence on the histogram, right? Because we made this higher bar here, that would be here. That's fine. We are making it on the RSI again, right? So if you take it from here to here, it'll be slightly lower. And then from here to here would definitely be a higher price action to the downside. We did see it play out, but like I said, a lot of indecision going on, right? Look at this. We did go down on the price, but then we were rejected, right? We found some support on around 208. Sorry. I would need to see back to see if there's something there. I did not trace any support or resistance lines in this area, but I would definitely have to look at it more in detail. But what I wanted you to see is that this, right? We had indecision here, pump to the upside, some indecision going on, right, with this candle. Again, kind of not going down, but then we dump down, make it back in the next hour, right? So a lot of fighting going on for this terrain. We are sitting around that 212, 210 area. We would have to wait for this to develop, because this would not be a flag, it would be a channel. If I try to make this something, somewhat, it might be a slightly downsloping channel, right? Something like this might make sense, but it's too short of a pattern. It'll be like a flag of sorts, right? Would it be a bull flag? I don't think so, because we got a flag here and then we got an impulse up. We are somewhat consolidating, but I'm not sure if this would be the high for the flag or this would be the high for the flag. You know, it's a bit awkward. Right now, I would say we are within this channel. It would seem to make sense. sitting about the 20 MA. We would need to come back here maybe a little bit more, have more room to run, and then break out of this channel, this more major downsloping channel we're in. You know, that's what we expect to see. Like I said, tomorrow, Fed announcing rate cuts probably. If they do, we might see some movement. If they don't, we will also might see some movement. And prior to the announcement, we will see a lot of speculation happening. So we might see some price action on the markets. I'm unsure right now if they're going to be positive or negative, the action that we're going to get. But we might get some speculation going on. If we don't get speculation on Bitcoin or price movement on Bitcoin before the announcement, don't worry, we might get it before backed announcement or before backed launches on the 23rd. The thing that worries me here is that we might get speculation tomorrow, and once the news comes out of the rate cut or whatever happens with the decision that the Fed makes, a lot of people might start selling, right? It might be one of those buy the rumors, sell the news. So we might get a lot of speculation and a lot of dumping right after the news come out. Just keep in mind again for your positions and your trades, set up proper stop losses and don't get wrecked. That's what I would be seeing for Ethereum, right? Again, we are high on the RSI, lots of room to run down. But again, we could also run up again, right? We've seen it with other coins. We are high, and then sometimes we don't go down, right? We just keep going up again. Like here, we were high, then we were down a little bit, but look at where we're at. We did not make a much lower low, but we went down on that RSI for sure, and then we pump up again and made that nice spike, right? So I'm not saying this is going to repeat itself, but it could certainly be something to look at, right? And like I said, we had not seen these level, not here, but I think it was in the 4 hours. Yeah, in the 4 hours, right? I want to do this real quick. And we had not seen this level in the RSI since April or May. I think it was here May 10th, May 15th, right? So you watch out for it in HODL. Yes, you have to wait for confirmation, right? Look, if you break to the upside, like I said, if you break to the upside, wait for some sort of confirmation, like a retouch or a second bull bar to start developing before you actually make a call, because you might get like one of those fake outs, right? Like we saw it in another one, right? We went out of the channel, went back in, and then we went back out. But sometimes you go back in and then you just dump, right? It's like a like a reversal happening, sort of. It's like a psych out, right? Like, oh, we're gonna break to the upside. No, never mind. And then the market dumps, and you can see it a lot of times. So, you know, I'm trying to find something like that happening here. Like this could potentially be one of those examples, right? You start running to the upside, right? You make some bullish divergence, right? Because you're not bullish divergence here. You start running to the upside, and then it's like up, psych, and then you just dump, right? So stuff like that can happen on the market. You know, just be aware that you know, you can have those small dumps or dips. You know, you have to retrace. Common stuff is to go up and then come down, right? This was a major move up, man. It's almost like, I wouldn't say parabolic, but it was significantly sharp move to the upside. If you were to make a curve, man, it would be something like this, right? I don't want to make this, you know, parabola or anything, but you know, this is the type of movement we made. You know, last time we made it, it was somewhere around here, right? That'll be more or less where we could see something similar happening in the market, right? But it's sort of like similar parabolic move. I'm not gonna call this one because we didn't go that high on price, but we have not seen this price since August 12th, right? So we are hitting like old prices. We've undone almost a month worth of low prices in like a day, because yesterday we got this pump, right? We were moving slightly to the upside, you know, like we were doing here, slightly to the upside, sort of, but on a more micro scale. Then we got this move. Just watch out. You have retraces, right? You have pullbacks. Sometimes you get reaction rallies, right? Like when you dump and you get reaction rallies to the upside, you also get those pullbacks to the downside. Like I said, be careful. If you start dumping, then, you know, set up stop loss, whatever you feel comfortable. And if you start pumping, then you can add to your position whatever you feel it will be a good price to add up to it. Right now, like I said, we might get some price action to the downside, but we have to wait for tomorrow to happen because there's going to be a lot of speculation going on. anyways, that's it. Does anyone have any more questions, man? Again, if you like the stream, give us a like, comment, subscribe. Yeah, no problems, David. Thank you for watching, man. Well, I'm not sure who else is here. We have 6 people watching, but only you participated, and then Sarah Elizabeth. But I think she already left because she said she was at work. And then I'm not sure who else tuned in for the news. Anyways, guys, yeah, that's gonna be all for today, guys. That is all for today. Again, if you like what we do, like, comment, subscribe, show this to your friends. We do like being here. We want this community to grow, so definitely whoever you tell about this and comes and watch the show, the more viewers we have, the more participation we get on the chat, the more fun it's going to be for everyone, because there's going to be a lot of questions going around, and we might get to see a lot of opinions going around as well. So yeah, thank you for watching. Again, happy Tuesday, and I'll see you all tomorrow.